How that work? Hey, this is Grown Up Trunks, and today I'm gonna be reviewing the Death Note Netflix series. It was really disappointing. It feels like they focused too much on the gruesome deaths. Like there's this one scene where he kills a guy, and what was it? The ladder just chops his head right off, and you see all the brains fall out. I'm like, it feels like it focused too much on the deaths and the teenage drama that was going on between Light and I'm not saying her English name. I'm gonna say her proper name, Misa. They changed her name to Mia. I'm like, there's like no effort put into it. I would say I did enjoy L more than I thought, but I thought near the end, he wasn't the cool, complacent character that we all know. Like, I know that L was always level-headed no matter what, and he was willing to sacrifice himself. And he expected that of his own teammates, and he said that I'm making a risk too, which is when he confronts Light, and he tells him everything to get a response. And this one, he has like really just like a shred of proof, and he calls him out on it. And another thing I didn't like is they didn't play the whole cat and mouse thing like they do in the anime, where especially the scene in the movie where L goes straight up and announces in public that he's after him. But in the anime, they did such a better job where they got a stand-in on death row to pretend to be L, and he calls him out. And then Light straight up kills him, and then he's like, "Oh, by the way, that was a stand-in, and we kind of figured out that you were in Japan based off of the first. It was a hunch, and we decided to go with that city first. We weren't broadcasting worldwide. We're just trying to flush you out, and you took the bait." It's that genius of the show that made it so well, where the movie fell flat. It didn't do any of those elaborations that Light does to kill people. Like, if you're gonna watch the movie, don't bother. But if you want to see it for the brief seconds that William Dafoe is Ryuk, that was good. The only thing that bothered me was he was barely in it, and they didn't really have Light and him didn't really have that relationship. He was always pissed off at Ryuk. "Don't fuck with me, man. Don't fuck with me." And he just seemed more like a whiny child than anything. And he was always second guessing himself. Are we doing the right thing? It felt like they made Misa more Light than Light. And even then, none of the killings were elaborate. To kill all the FBI agents, she just tasered someone and then got his name and wrote him in the death note. Like in the Death Note show, they had Light. Light did this elaborate plan of a heist while Ray Pimber was following him, and he tricks him into giving him his name. He says he's FBI, and he's like, "Well, how do I know you're not one of those guys accomplices?" And he's like, "Okay, here's my information," and then he gets the name. Like, the anime did such a good job, and the Japanese live action movie did a way better job of how he kills people. And then at the end, Light is alive after what happened, and I'm like, because the whole purpose of the Death Note show is that the Death Note corrupts him. Like, you know, absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's the message of it. And the other message is, is there are consequences for using something like this to kill people. There's always a consequence for power. And that's my little girl. She's watching Pokemon right now. So yeah, it fell flat, and they could have done so much better of a job, but it just felt like they just took the Death Note, and they cut and paste the names of the characters and replace them with English names. So they didn't get much right, except Ryuk. If he was in there longer, it might have been a little bit better, but no, it wasn't good. Like, that's a problem when they try to translate Japanese to anime. Well, oh.